Our modern girls play as hard and with as much vitality and stamina as any man. How do they do it? Where do they find all that energy, that seemingly inexhaustible store of pep and ginger?
Activism through postering and graphic design is as diverse as the art of Jenny Holzer and Barbara Kruger, street art and rock posters. The creations of the Dyke action machine and the Guerilla girls force audiences to question the same media that the artists apply to their work. Their inventive use of posters and print media is used to communicate specific feminist goals.
Even though with a name like Dyke Action Machine you might think it was 30 people, it's 2 people, and we do everything ourselves, and it's labor of love. We don't get paid for it. I feel like this kind of culture jamming only works when you are extremely motivated by your own personal issue, whatever it is.
They would do things like advertise films they would make trailers for films that didn't exist with renegade lesbian characters who were about to blow away the patriarchy, like in Rambo style, and they would distribute the information about this as if this was a real film, and they would use the mechanisms of the mass media as its own distribution system.
So the campaigns are about 5,000 to 10,000 posters we pasted in New York over the span of a month, and there we pasted next to every other kind of advertising. Well, there's a company in New York, it's like 2 companies, and legend has it that it's run by the mob. I don't know if that's true, but it's basically illegal. So they do it in the middle of the night, and if you don't want to get covered over, you have to hire these guys. They're democratic. They'll take DAM's money, they'll take Nike's money, they'll take Sony BMG's money. You know, it's like you want your work up, then you have to pay them. We never say we are like the voice of the lesbian community. Sometimes we say we want to be the ad agency for the lesbian community, but that's entirely different. We are both revealing sort of internal discussions in the gay community, like our gay marriage poster, which says, "Gay marriage, you might as well be straight." It's like gay people are talking about whether we want marriage at all, but that stuff never gets out into the mainstream media. In the mainstream media, we are being portrayed as these people who are like knocking at the door of the church, like, let us in. What I do know is that groups like Dyke Action Machine and Grand Fury changed representation. We wouldn't have things like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. You know, as I'm sure you're aware, lesbians have the reputation of having no sense of humor. DAM has done its best to rectify that.
What is the Guerilla Girls? Are they theater? Is it art? Is it performance art? Where it's hard to be categorized.
Guerilla Girls do something extremely specific. They are incredibly successful because they have chosen one issue and they just keep hammering away at it. And despite the fact that we think there's a lot more gender parity now, there isn't, which they keep pointing out over and over.
Early on, we decided that if we were going to protest the art world, we had to be anonymous, because the art world is such a chummy, little friendly place, and you can't really bite the hand that feeds you. So we decided we had to be anonymous. We decided to be freedom fighters, the guerrilla part, Guerrilla. And then we wanted to be girls because we wanted to annoy feminists, or feminists of a certain era. My personal mission as a Guerilla Girl is to keep the idea of feminism and monkey business, together and developing into the future. And putting on a gorilla mask and talking to people is a whole lot of fun. And it actually liberates you. You wouldn't believe the things that you say when you put a gorilla mask on. If we weren't wearing this mask, you wouldn't be interested in us. When we first started postering, we would strategically do it in areas where there were galleries, and we would usually do it the night before a weekend. We'd go out on Friday night, and that was great because we put the posters up in the dead of the night, and then we'd go out the next day and just silently walk around and listen to people talk about them. And that was fun, and it actually gave us ideas for other posters. We didn't really have a long-term strategy. We're kind of a combination of being organic and hormonal, and we just sort of listen and do things, almost in response to things that we hear.
Well, I think we can say that the broad principles involved in the supervision of men apply equally well in the case of women.
That ain't what I learned about women.
There are some new and different problems, Joe. I'll admit that.
Women scare me. At least they do in a factory.
Well, maybe the women are scared too, Joe. Let's see.
Feminism is really it's a really important global situation. Almost every situation you find in the world where there's inequity and injustice, women are not given their full human rights. So we've realized that feminism is a way of looking at the world and a way of changing the world. Our strategy was all about using humor, using humiliation, using ridicule, using irony, using parody, using satire, all the sorts of things that you find, in art at a time of oppression. We were going to use those elements to change people's minds about things. And if you look at a lot of our work, it is, it's open-ended that way. We'll make a very provocative statement, we'll back it up with some information, we'll let the viewer laugh at it a little bit, and then think about the issue and give them an opportunity to change.